Hello, boxing aficionados. This is Stacy Dash, and welcome to N.W.J, the world's most dangerous boxing page. At a time where truth is dangerous, Jay pulls no punches. So get your hands up and keep swinging. And don't forget, subscribe. Peace.
Welcome. N.W.J, the world's most dangerous boxing channel. Unbiased, I tell it just like it is. And I thought to start this the content off on this channel, I've talked about it before, but I don't believe in great detail. The first boxing match I ever went to, it was Lennox versus Lionel Butler at the Arco Arena in Sacramento, California in 1995. I went with my buddy Arturo. We were buddies working at FedEx at the airport in San Diego. Did I rent a car? No, I think I drove my own. I can't remember. Usually when I went to fights, I rented a car. But anyway, drove up to Sacramento, which was a long drive. What was it, about 9 hours or more? Something like that. And this was Lennox Lewis's first fight after losing to Oliver McCall in England. He got knocked out in the second round. He got up, was wobbled, and the ref waved it off. He could have continued. You got to give the champion the benefit of the doubt, but the referee didn't. It was kind of political, a lot of people felt, because Oliver McCall was a Don King fighter at the time, and we know how Don King wanted to get back into the heavyweight division, especially since Mike Tyson was locked up. He wanted to secure the WBC and hold it until Mike got out, a lot of people think. So, when Mike got out, he could have a path right to the title. But anyway, this was Lennox Lewis's first fight since losing to Oliver McCall in England. And it was just I remember when I first walked in and I just saw the ring and the lights shining down on the ring, I'm like, this is the best sporting event I've ever experienced. It was just incredible. I was like, wow, it was just like a stage lit up. It was, wow. And, there's a lot of Lennox Lewis haters in the crowd, talking behind me. And I sat there and took it for a while. Then I said something and gave him a look. And it kind of stopped after that. What was I, about 225, 230? And I've been lifting weights and since I was a young child. Anyway, Jorge Luis Gonzalez was in the crowd. I remember he was sitting a couple rows in front of us. And I remember he turned around and was staring at me for a minute. My buddy Art said, "Did you see him trying to mad dog you?" I was like, "Yeah, I saw that." But anyway, Michael Moore was on the undercard. I forgot who he fought, but that was a real action-packed fight. So I got to see Michael Moore fight. He always came into It Takes Two to Make a Thing Go Right by Rob Bass. But that fight went to the decision. I believe Teddy Atlas was in Michael Moore's corner. But anyway, Lennox Lewis came out blasting "It's Just Me Against the World, Baby," Tupac's album. And it fits since we were kind of, in Sacramento, that area Tupac grew up in, kind of the Bayish area, kind of. And it was just powerful. You hear that beat come in, and this Lennox Lewis coming in and Me Against the World. He's coming off his first loss. Got Emmanuel Stewart in his corner, and he was, and the thing about it, Lionel Butler hired Lennox Lewis's former trainer, Pepe Correa, that Lennox Lewis had when he lost his first fight. So Pepe, he's sitting there yelling stuff at Lennox Lewis and stuff. I'm like, man, you was just cool with him the last fight. Now he gets in the ring and you're yelling at him like he's a scrub or something. I'm like, oh, come on, Pepe, have some class. But Lennox Lewis didn't, you can't read. That's one thing I always liked about Lewis. You couldn't read him. He'd just give you the blank face. Remember that? Go back and look at how long he stared when he was in the corner looking at Shannon Briggs for their fight. that dude was staring so long without blinking. I'm like, man. But Lennox seems, even if he was nervous, you couldn't read it. So Lennox Lewis went out there. Lionel Butler tried to charge him. He was like 260. Lennox Lewis was 248. And he came in trying to rush Lewis, thinking because Lewis had got knocked out in his first fight, I guess he thought, you know, he could do the same and build his name off that. But Lionel Butler is a guy who had a lot of losses in his early career and then started to develop, you know, fought on Tuesday night fights and stuff like that. Y'all remember Tuesday night fights on USA Network? Anyway, he came out. Lewis started filling him out. I think Marty Dinkin was the referee from Rocky III, and Larry Merchant, he kept making weird breaks and stuff, and Larry Merchant said, "What is Marty Dinkin doing?" You know Larry Merchant, my buddy Art used to say, Larry Merchant is bloodthirsty. Like, dudes could really be taking a beating, and Larry Merchant would like, let him fight. The ref be trying to stop, and Larry Merchant's like, no, you know, Larry Merchant wants to see him keep fighting. I like Larry Merchant. I think the best trio in announcing was Jim Lampley, Larry Merchant, and Foreman. That's who I like, you know. I know Howard Cosell did a great job, but that was kind of before my time, really. But you can go back and watch his announcing and stuff like that. But anyway, Lionel Butler came out trying to charge Lewis. And Lewis is trying to, you know, I guess adapt to his new style that Emmanuel Stewart taught him. This is the heaviest Lennox Lewis had ever weighed, 248. And it was an in shape 248. Matter of fact, you can never go back and see any Lennox Lewis fights where he was out of shape. And he was so strong, Lionel Butler rushed him. He just pushed him and threw him down. I mean, the dude almost rolled over. I mean, the strength of Lennox Lewis is incredible. I mentioned on a past video that Evander Holyfield said when Lennox Lewis leans over and puts his weight on your back, it feels like a cement coat. So Emmanuel Stewart, the greatest trainer ever, in my opinion, and many other credible boxing people, Emmanuel Stewart said that Lennox Lewis had physical strength. It wasn't just punching power. He was a physically strong guy, huge fists, big, muscular, tall, and was calm, had a great amateur career, won a gold medal in the 88 Olympics, won, I believe, a bronze in the 84 Olympics. I think Tyrell Biggs won the gold back then. Lewis cleaned his clock in the rematch in the pros rather quickly. And anyway, Lennox Lewis hit Lionel Butler with a right. That was it. Lionel Butler didn't want no more. I believe the fight was stopped in the 5th round. You can go check it out online. I got these fights on DVD, but that was just a great night of boxing. And I was like in row 9. And I remember I would tape the fight on VHS and then go home and watch it. And I remember seeing a guy that was in front of me go up and shake Lennox Lewis's hands after. I'm like, oh man, he got up there. I could have got up there. But fast forward to 1997, I ended up meeting Lennox Lewis at the after party to the Oliver McCall 2 fight at the All-Star Cafe. We took a picture together, and that was man, I'll never forget that night. But I've talked about that fight on my other channel. I might, talk about it in depth here. But Lennox Lewis solidified himself as back in the heavyweight division, clean Lionel Butler's clock. I don't think Lionel Butler was ever the same after that. So Emmanuel Stewart is on board. Lennox Lewis is back on track at his higher weight. Once he came back with Emmanuel Stewart, he never weighed in under 240. I think his lowest weight might have been 242 or 241, 242, I believe. He never weighed under that, and he was strong as ever. He was just knocking out Americans left and right. He won a gold medal for Canada in the Olympics, but he was raised mainly in England, I believe, of Jamaican descent. So real true heavyweight champion of the world. But that was a great night of fighting. Lewis fought a big, strong guy. It was kind of like a test. Kind of like Lionel Butler was like almost an imitation of Mike Tyson. Maybe he had an inch or two on him. He's like 6'1". But it was a good test for Lewis. You know, he had to get the nerves out. He was backing up at first, like he was almost worried about getting caught with another punch. But when you're aware like that, it's hard to get knocked out. It's when you're kind of relaxed and overconfident you get knocked out, when you take somebody lightly. But Lewis wasn't taking him lightly, you know. He learned better defense later. That fight, he was kind of, you know, running back a little and stuff like that. But Emmanuel, you can go back to watch that fight and see how he improved from that fight to his last fight against Vitaly Klitschko at the Staples Center. I was there too. But anyway, thanks for watching. This is my first video on my backup channel, N.W.J. What does it stand for? Nice with a jab. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share. See you next time, hopefully.